All right, the Shack crew is back for another Game of the Year 2022 deliberation. This time, we're talking best free to play game, and I think there's only one thing on the mind of the staff here, but I'm not gonna speak for everybody. There's at least two things on the mind of the staff here. Uh, who would like to throw out the first pitch here? Who is your nomination, Donovan?
Mine is going to be the obvious one. Marvel Snap, easily. It's one of the best games of the year, just overall. And then you add the part that it's free. It is easily the best free to play game of the year. One of the best strategy titles I've played quite a while. I, like many of us here at Shack staff, are obsessed with it, or am obsessed with it. I cannot stop playing it. Um, I'm sure other folks will want to say their piece about the game as well, but it is easily Marvel Snap for me.
Yeah, I'll second that. It has captured heart, mind, and soul. This game came out of nowhere for me, and it was the staff who got me playing it. I saw Ozzy posting to Twitter about it, which is still standing at the time of this recording. And then Asif texted me and said that he was really enjoying it. And I just got into it. And I'd love to hear from other staffers because I think just last night, at the time of recording it, almost like I think 3 or 4 people came in and said, "Yeah, I played last night," and then 3 hours went by, which is kind of almost a common, a shared theme with this game. It's just that good; it just grabs you right away. But the nice thing about it is, you can play for a few minutes or you can play for a few hours. It's really accommodating to different schedules and needs, and it's free. And I think it's important to say, I haven't encountered any gotcha trappings yet. I've spent some money on this game because I've wanted to, just for variant cards, which you don't need. It's all optional so far, and I'm now just playing at the game's pace and really enjoying it.
Yeah, you said you can play it for a few minutes or a few hours, and I think that technically you can play it for a few minutes. I feel that overall, if you play Marvel Snap, it becomes very difficult to put down. Like
It,
you're, yeah, it's just easy and quick, and there's a lot of good strategy to it, but there's also a little bit of luck involved. You never really know. You have the three areas, right? And you only know what the first one is, and so you can kind of be like, do I want to start there? Do I want to take a chance on one of these other two spots? Where am I going to put Quicksilver? Basically,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
I've seen. I'm sure others can speak to this, but I've seen a lot of strategies involved. I know evolve. When I started out, I would always play at the leftmost field, but now I usually play middle or right, just because a lot of people early on will go for cards that activate when the opponent plays a card, and most people assume your first or second card will be in the left field or the left lane, and I that's why I usually try to throw people off, go right or middle, and that's just part of this strategy, let alone getting into the deeper strategy, which is a conversation we can have later of the different decks and how they really force you to kind of recalibrate your thinking to what you need to do with that deck and how you can win and optimize your strategies.
Um,
One of the things that I really enjoy about it is, and I started playing last night, but I'm one of the ones that was like 3 hours. I mean, I think I hit like level 39 or something the first day. But it really, I pride myself on being able to predict people well, and like habits and tendencies and whatnot. And this game just really plays into that. So, like, being able to predict what your opponent is thinking and what they're going to do next. And when you successfully do that and almost counter them before they even move, the only thing that makes me sad about this game is I can't see them throw their phone. Like, just
Yeah,
knowing that they
yeah,
got, like,
yeah.
it's wildly satisfying that it has that mental aspect to it, that it is part luck and it's, having a good deck, but it's also like just being one step ahead of your opponent. It's almost, it's very much like chess that way.
I feel like Donovan regrets me getting into this game because whether I'm tagging him on Twitter or hitting him up on Slack, or last night I was texting him at like 10 or 10:30. I've just been asking him about this game, and he's really like opened my eyes to some strategies. Like one card that's giving people problems right now is the Infinaut, which is a 6 cost card, with the highest cost. and a 20 strength card. And I'm like, man, how can you counter this thing? It just seems like you've got it won. And Donovan's like, well, you can't play it if you played a card before it. So if you look at turn 5 out of 6, and if they haven't played a card, and I'm like that was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that was like a really obvious counter, but I just had to think about it. And it was really cool.
I do like that people have found a way around that. Like there's a Dracula card where it takes the power of a card in your hand and it can take the infinite power and it can suddenly be level 20 power at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to step on like the Marvel Snap nomination, but like Marvel Snap's going to be probably end up being, if not my game of the year, it's going to be like way high up there by the time these deliberations are over. Having said that, I don't think it is the best free to play game for a couple of reasons. One of them being that you're at a disadvantage if you're not buying the Battle Pass. Like the Battle Pass has exclusive cards for that season. And yes, there are counters to those cards, but you are inherently at a disadvantage if you go into the season and you don't buy the Battle Pass and you don't get those cards. So I think that's kind of a bummer if you're trying to go in as a free to play player. The other one is that once you hit your daily goals, once you hit your daily missions and everything, once you complete them, your progression just stops. Like you pretty much can't level up until like basically the next. And that to me is kind of like that's a downside of it as a free to play game. And that for me is why I cannot vote for Marvel Snap for this category.
I was gonna
I mean, they
say,
reload your daily challenges I think it's like every 4, maybe 6 hours. They have them on like an interval. They come in.
You get 2 every 8.
Yeah, I know. I think it's very free to play friendly, unlike a lot of other games, even down to the way that they do the matchmaking, where it's kind of based on pools and whatnot. So even if somebody is like dumping money into the game and shooting their collection level up, you probably won't play against those people. They're going to get put against other players that are going to be very challenging for them. Um, but I do get the issues there. But I think that as far as the free to play mobile model goes, this one handles it better than any that I can remember playing in recent memory.
I probably played more after I finished my dailies yesterday than before because, and this is a groundbreaking thing, but I was just playing for fun. Like, and I don't mean like didn't care. I mean like I didn't need to be acquiring something to enjoy the game. I just enjoyed the actual every single battle. I loved it. So
I see Ozzy's point. I think that there are people who out there who min max, and if they're not getting any instant gratification or semi-immediate gratification, but I know for me that like I've never felt compelled to put it away just because I'm not hitting daily challenges. Like at first they all kind of racked up, so I had a ton to do, and now I'm in the Black Panther season pass, so you have more goals on top of your regular daily goals. But I am I'm just playing. When I build a new deck, I want to play just to learn the deck. Like it's just a lot of fun to me. So I see Ozzy's point, but it hasn't been a deterrent for me.
I have a question, Ozzy, and I know it's not your nomination, but is Disney Dreamlight not free to play? I thought it was.
Fortunately, TJ, there is a guide for that on Shacknews.com. Disney Dreamlight Valley is going to be free to play when it goes 1.0, but to get into the early access period, you got to buy the Founders Pack.
Okay, so that might be a nomination for next year more than this year.
and so it's not even 1.0 then, right?
It is
It's
not
not.
1.0.
Right. So
We're going to be talking about that during Best Early Access later in the
Fair
deliberations.
Okay.
Because I know that you've been talking that game up a lot. I know that's been like your Animal Crossing New Horizons moment this year.
It's also
Ozzy, what was your nomination?
Yeah, what is your nomination for this category, Ozzy?
My nomination for this category is Rumbleverse, and this is the Battle Royale fighter from Iron Galaxy. And to me, what on top of it being like a tremendously fun game where that just about anybody can access, if you can throw a drop kick, you can compete in this game just like any other. You don't have to have like particular shooting skills. It plays more like a fighting game where it's like it's sort of more of a rock paper scissors style. You got to read people. You got to have reflexes, and it's possible to get good at that game. But for me, what makes it a good free to play game as well is that just about anybody can be on a level playing field. Any free to play any like premium element to it is all cosmetic, and they're just like Marvel Snap. It's not in your face about it. So I definitely appreciate that aspect. If I want to spend any money, then it's just going to be to dress like a hot dog or something. Like it's not going to be like get any kind of competitive advantage. So
Yeah.
for me, that's what makes Rumbleverse like the best free to play game for me.
Rumbleverse is fun. I haven't played a lot of it, but I think I played. Didn't we play together on Big Team Building? Were you there, Ozzy?
I was not there for that, unfortunately. It's funny you say that because now they're starting to implement more limited time modes where you can get more players into it. You can now have a trios mode, in case anybody wants to get their 6-man tag on. So they're going to add quads later down the road, and there's going to be more ways to experience it other than single and tag. And I love the tag. I love the duos mode because the duos mode actually opens up for like kind of tag. There's a big professional wrestling element to this, and the idea that you can go into duels and you can Irish whip somebody into your partner so that they can like drop them with a diamond cutter. I think that's a really cool aspect of this game.
Everything you said was so fucking cool just now. Like
Yeah.
everything about that
We
made
need
me
to.
happy.
I want to start a stable with Ozzy and TJ and go after the trios championships. Whether
Oh,
they're
boy.
That's right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's my trio. What's your guys' trio name?
I don't know. We haven't come up with one yet.
BBD. Yeah, I don't know. I just have to say, Morgan's son is popping in my video game obsessed brain. Every time I see him, I hear Toasty because he's coming out of the bottom corner there. So that's funny.
Nice. Speaking of Morgan, I don't know if you're able to, but I know that you also have a nomination that you love for this category.
I do. I'm torn because like after the amount of time I put into Marvel Snap last night, I'm starting to lean in that direction. But originally I had put kind of a game that's kind of gone under the radar, which is Deathverse, Let It Die. I think it's a really good free to play game. I think that Let It Die itself originally was probably one of the best free to play games that I've played. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, I think that there's a lot of strength with Deathverse. He has thoughts as well. Sorry if it's loud in the
That's all good.
but yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I like Deathverse, but I think I might change my vote here to Marvel Snap. Just from the amount of time I put into it last night. I don't know. I'm
Oh,
I'm
snap.
wavering.
Oh snap!
Morgan, you brought me into that camp. That Morgan's review of Deathverse got me to jump into that game, and I have had so much fun playing matches in that game between like fighting game stuff and playing other like longer games. It's so ridiculously cool how they set. I'm a big fan of games that set up a proper game show spin on them in the first place. Was a big fan of things like Monday Night Combat. Actually, kind of liked what Cliff Bleszinski was doing with Radical Heights, despite the
Go
fact
all
that
the way
it
back to
crashed.
Smash TV.
Smash TV.
Smash
I love
TV
that
was
kind of
great.
thing. And Deathverse is such a good setup for that, where like you've got this game show element. It's like there are a ton of maps in that game, but it all works on the same premise of you've got this like octagon of segments that fill up with gas one by one as the match goes on. And then you've got like this mid-show like danger moment where they release a hunter that can kill anyone in the room easily, and you have to like avoid this thing or escape it and avoid being run down. And then if it kills somebody, it goes away, and the other contestants can go and collect a bonus from that guy's corpse. And there's just so many elements of fun game show twists in this that just like, oh my god, every time I get into a match, it's such a blast.
I do think,
Nice.
yeah, that is also really strong in terms of like the battle royale formula because it really changes it up and it kind of has that dynamic a little bit like Marvel Snap where, with the zones can change the gameplay. Like the things that first throws in at you can really change the gameplay. Because even if you're like a pro player and you run into one of those like hunters, I mean you're pretty screwed. Like I haven't seen anyone yet, at least, be able to get past that thing. So I think that's a cool like chaos element that I appreciate in games like that.
Man, sounds like good times. And I am also kind of shocked by how quickly you were swayed by Marvel Snap, Morgan. Like I think that's the testament to the game
Yeah,
right
I mean, I
there.
like the fact that it's available on mobile, so like that I can keep playing it, like if I'm in bed with my phone, like, oh, I'll just play like a round, and then it turns into like 5 or 6 more rounds. Whereas with Deathburst, I've only really been playing it on the PS5. I know it's on PC and it had some issues at launch with the PC, but I think that to Marvel Snap's credit, the platform's like it's also on PC as well. So I think it's just a little bit more accessible and easier to just dump time into as opposed to Deathburst, which I think probably would be better suited on like platforms like Switch. I think that'd be a really great place for it. But yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, there you go. I think that might be it for this category, right?
Got one more, if you don't mind.
Oh my goodness, Sam.
I do apologize. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Sam.
I think it would
Sam.
be, unwise of me not to at least mention Lost Ark, which is probably one of the bigger free-to-play games that released this year in North America and elsewhere in the world. This was huge. It's a MMORPG. It originally released in South Korea back in 2019 and was brought over into more regions at the beginning of this year. Again, MMORPG, third person perspective, heavy PvE elements with an end game PvP. It's kind of wild to have a MMO game that's kind of this large be free to play. And I've only put in like 23 hours and I've barely scratched the surface of this. But there's definitely enough there that if you are looking to get into an MMO that's a little bit different or that's free to play, this is a worthy option to check out, and definitely one that I think should be considered on the ballot here if we're talking about free to play games.
Yeah, Lost Ark's really good. I had a lot of fun playing through that game. I had first heard about it because my friends were like counting down the days to its release in the U.S. And as somebody who I do not get into MMOs, even that one was really good. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot that that came out earlier this year.
Well, there you go. Good for you, Sam. Good for you. Having a little cheer for Lost Ark. I feel like that game exploded, like when it came out initially.
Yeah,
And
second most played game on Steam.
Yeah, that was like a man. When was that? It feels like it was so long ago it came
It was
out.
in
February.
February. Yeah.
February. Wow, I guess that was long ago at this point, relatively. Yeah,
And
wow.
that was a hopping month too this year.
There's currently 145,000 players playing it on Steam right now. Number 4. It still pops off.
Yeah.
Small potatoes.
Yeah, small potatoes.
45,000 yawn. All right. I guess that's cool.
A
No,
little city.
sure, it's a fine game, Sam, or you wouldn't have nominated it. But now that the nominations are done, it's time to get down to the voting. I wish we had some sort of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something. Greg, you could do that in post, right?
I can
With
add, I'll add a
explosions,
sound
Greg?
effect to it. I
And
mean, I can.
fireworks?
Moving forward, I can open my soundboard and try to get it through.
Yeah, whenever I hit the gavel, I want like explosion, please, if you don't mind. But you know what? But before you get into all the post production, Greg, where is your vote going?
Marvel Snap.
Oh snap, Greg, you're a card game connoisseur too.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. Like, it's not predatory in terms of like I said, we're hiding behind packs and having to chase cards. Like, everything's really up front. You pay $10, you get this card, you get the exactly card you want. Like, that's kind of cool. It's expensive, but it's beats trying to. Hearthstone's the biggest offender. Like, you just buy pack. You can spend $100 on packs and not get something.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, all right, there you go. Donovan.
Marvel Snap, 100%.
Full 100. All right. Dated L. Craddock.
I like what Morgan said about Death First. That sounds really cool. I haven't got a chance to play it yet, so I'm going to stick with Marvel Snap. But I do want to say make one quick point to what Ozzy and Greg were saying. I don't think that Marvel Snap is it doesn't feel predatory in any way, because I think it was, I don't remember who mentioned this. I think it might have been Donovan. But if you early on, I did sink some money into the game because I wanted to level up my card collection, get some cards. But I think, as Donovan mentioned, I got put into higher pools, and that was a problem for me because not only was I competing against people who had more cards and who were more skilled, but I was unlocking a bunch of cards I didn't know how to use. I didn't know how to incorporate them into my deck. So I feel like that kind of encouraged me to slow down and actually play at the pace that the game had. So I do think it works well as a free to play game, but I do think Ozzy made a good point. I just wanted to share my experience regarding
And the
that.
thing is, like
Right.
$10 per season, which is monthly, like $10 a month adds up
But
fast.
you don't have to do that. But to your point, yes, that does add up fast.
And I'm definitely sinking in $10 next month for Power Cosmic. I'll
Same
just say
thing.
that.
Same.
$10 for the Power Cosmic is a pretty good deal.
That's a good deal.
Oh man, I just want to make sure I get my Galactus and Wolverine cards still. That's all I really care about. And TJ's vote. I also care about TJ's vote. TJ, what is your vote?
Staying with Death First, Let It Die. The game show premise alone, done so well, makes me so happy. And I need to play the hell out of Rumbleverse because that game looks like it's so up my alley. And I will get there, especially like if they're doing duos and trios. But
Man.
for right now, I hope Deathverse continues to grow. I hope they add more hunters. I hope they add more weapons, more maps. I hope that game. I really want it to continue to grow into something even greater and cooler.
Well,
Well,
I'm
I know
sure
our
that-
trio's name. If it's okay with TJ and Ozzy, we're the Arm Biters.
All right.
I'll take
all
it.
right. Well, Ozzy, is that gonna be your Rumbleverse team name? And are you voting for Rumbleverse?
I am absolutely voting for Rumbleverse. I don't know what brought me more joy. If was it dropping the Randy Savage elbow off the top of a skyscraper, or was it Cesaro swinging somebody into the ocean for an instant KO? Like moments like that, just I love this game so much.
I love that. I love that you love this game, Ozzy. You've been championing it ever since you found out about it, and your passion has only grown. I think that speaks volumes to your vote too. Morgan.
I'm I'm gonna.
So conflicted. I love it. I love it.
Come back to the Deathverse camp, Morgan.
I'm
It's
gonna
so
give it.
lovely here.
I'm gonna give it to Death First just because I know from Let It Die and that team that, once they start adding more to that game and once it's on more platforms, it is gonna be probably my preference. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll give it to Death First.
All right. All right. Sticking with your guns. You're not tempted by the new kid. I know the new shiny is always very, very new and shiny, but you gotta stay true to Death First.
Much like the shiny logo upgrade for your cards. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Well, before Morgan is too tempted, Bill, where are you voting?
We got to get this back on track after the last 3 votes just went squirrely all over the place, and Sam's gonna screw it up in a second, I think. But it's Marvel Snap, and it's not close.
There you go. There you go, Sam. Where
Like
are
I'm
you
playing
gonna?
Rumbleverse here. I'm dodging hooks left and right. Unbelievable.
Okay,
down.
all right, Sam. Lost Ark Chandler. Where are you voting?
Marvel Snap, obviously, mate. Come on.
All right, I'll let you have it. All right.
Team player. Look at that.
Lost Ark sounds cool. I just feel like
Yeah,
Snap
yeah.
is one of those games that just kind of snuck up on a lot of us, me
Oh,
included.
for sure. 100%. And like I just think my nominations, I gotta get these games out there so that we hear about them and discuss them. But for me, Marvel Snap is definitely a game that I will be playing significantly more than 23 hours on. This is good.
Well, you know what? This is going to be a shocker, but as a Marvel fanboy, I'm also voting for Marvel Snap. And we have a couple of absentee votes for this as well. So let's get them in here. Asif, no shock to anybody, voted for Marvel Snap because, yeah, basically for all the reasons that we've said here. I think he agrees with a lot of those. Then let's see. Denny also voted for Marvel Snap. And I bet you Steve T. Oh snap! He voted for Marvel Snap too. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, we have our tally, and we have a very, very, very clear winner in this category. The best free-to-play game of 2022 is Marvel Snap. Victory.
Wakanda forever!
Next time, I'll try to break a sweat.
Oh, snap!